Listen, Leon, only in darkness can you see the stars. Hear the honor, smell the fear, touch the moment, taste the victory. This is mixed martial arts. To defeat a nightmare, you don't fight with your eyes, you fight with your heart.
Welcome to UFC Fight Week here on BT Sport from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah, where UFC 278 goes down. We got a main event featuring the welterweight title. Kamaru Usman putting that win streak on the line against England's Leon Edwards. Hey, Brendan Fitzgerald here. Thanks, BT Sport, for having me. The legendary Scouser, Nick Peet. Haven't seen you in a few years, Nick. It's great to see you on this side of the pond. What do you think of a big fight week here in Salt Lake City?
Mate, it's great to be here. My only apology is that I'm wearing beige today and I'm blending in with the walls. Unfortunately, I should have known better. But listen, Salt Lake City, there's something always magical when UFC comes to a town like this. You know, we're used to going to Vegas, we're used to going to New York, we're used to going to these places, and the fans are used to it as well. So when you come somewhere like Salt Lake to Utah, it's a different kind of energy because everybody in the town's talking about the fact that UFC are here and the party's arrived.
There's one big-time pro sport here in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's their basketball team, and it's not the season yet, so everybody is so pumped up. Anybody into martial arts within any kind of a radius of Salt Lake City is going to be here this week. They've been showing up. Let's show you that main card coming up. We mentioned Kamaru Usman. He's 15-0 in the UFC. He's trying to tie Anderson Silva's record as a 16-fight win streak in the octagon. Leon Edwards, of course, they fought back in 2015. He suffered a setback there. It was his 4th UFC fight, but since then he has not lost. What a main event that is. You can see the live prelims at 1 a.m. on BT Sport 1. The main card starts at 3 a.m. on BT Sport 1. All right, let's talk about that main event, though. Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards. It's this rematch that Leon Edwards has been patiently waiting for. It's finally upon him.
Patiently is the right word. You know, 10-fight win streak, and, you know, it's only just arrived now, and he's had to be, as you say, he's waited so long. He's had so many good wins. But Kamaru Usman, there's a reason why he's at the top of the tree. You know, this is a guy that's pound for pound, in most people's eyes, the best fighter on the planet. Why? Because he's not just this Olympic caliber wrestler who mauls everybody these days. He's added so much more to his arsenal. His hands are so good these days, and he's putting people away. He's become a one-punch knockout artist, and that's something new that Leon Edwards is going to have to contend with, because the first fight, it was Leon the striker against Kamaru the grappler. That has changed a lot now. Now, that's not to say Leon's grappling hasn't gotten better as well, but his striking arsenal is where he wants to be. He wants this fight to stay on its feet as long as possible, but it's a dangerous fight because Kamaru can bang.
For Leon Edwards, you mentioned he's been waiting a long time. He's had the fight in London in 2020 pushed back. He had the no contest against Bilal Muhammad, albeit he's done nothing but win since then. Your thoughts on this opportunity that's finally here? You've talked to him this week. How's he feeling?
Yeah, listen, he's in a great headspace. You know, that Jamaican blood running through his veins helps him stay cool, calm and collected. He came to Salt Lake nice and early, so he's acclimatized himself. And he's done nothing but think about Kamaru Usman for the last few years. You know, yes, he's had other fights. Yes, he's had other wins. He's been matched against Khamzat Chimaev 3 times and done 3 entire fight camps to no avail. But you better believe that the back of his mind in every one of those camps was Kamaru Usman. He needs to beat the champion. He needs to beat Kamaru to become champion. Whereas Kamaru's eyes are slightly different because he's looking at everybody at 170. He's taking on everybody at 170. And I think that might just give Leon a little bit of an edge.
All right, well, it's afternoon back in the UK. It's nearing 9 a.m. local time here in Salt Lake. We'll see Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman hit the scales. Whenever they do, top of the hour, the fighters will start taking the scales. Let's look at this co-main event between Luke Rockhold. He returns after 3 years away, and he does it in the 185-pound division where he once held the belt. Paulo Costa, though, a heavy favorite in this matchup. There's a lot of heat. There's a lot of anticipation from the fans because of who these guys are, how they fight. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, everybody in here, the place will go silent when both these guys get on the scales, because will Paulo Costa make weight? Last time we seen him, he turned up 25 pounds overweight for Marvin Vettori. He blames that, an injury, on that why he didn't perform on the night. But look, this is Paulo Costa back at his very best. You know, prior to his loss to Israel Adesanya for the title, he was a wrecking machine, smashing everything in front of him. He believes he's got back to there now. He's back in that headspace. He's lean, he's mean, and he's here to prove himself once again. Luke Rockhold, on the other hand, we've not seen him at middleweight for 4 years, Brendan. But when he was a middleweight, when he was the champion at middleweight, he looked sensational. We thought he was going to go on this incredible run, dominate the division for years. Perhaps, though, he got caught up in his own mind, loved that party life a little bit too much, and it caught up with him.
How do you think this fight plays out? Rockhold is a next-level grappler. We haven't seen Paulo Costa really dragged into deep waters. I mean, he went there against Marvin Vettori, but it was after 220 pounds. They had to change the weight class, all that sort of thing. How do you think this fight will play out?
I think, Luke would be crazy to just stand in the pocket with Paulo Costa, because that's what Costa wants. That's where his real strength lies. And I think Luke, as it is, he would argue, is a much more rounded mixed martial artist, but he is 37 years old, and you get to a certain point in any fighter's career where the chin can't quite take it anymore, and they're the doubts that are going to be in Luke Rockhold's mind. I think Luke will throw shots to close the distance, maybe even pull guard, get a trip, just get Costa on his back, try and wear those big muscles down a little bit, slow him down, and then it's a different type of fight.
These guys are two of the shortest active fight times in the middleweight division, among the top 5 active. They're like just over 7 minutes. Fans don't expect it to take that long, but there's a lot of intrigue in terms of the return of Paulo Costa and really the return of Luke Rockhold, 3 years away from the game. Third fight from the top, there's high stakes at Bantamweight. Chito Vera sent a message last week, 4th round knockout of Dominic Cruz. He's in the top 5, he's hunting for a title. The title's on the line in a few months. 9 of the top 11 Bantamweights are in action over the next several months. The next big one is this weekend, Jose Aldo and Merab Dvalishvili.
Yeah, it's a sensational fight, obviously Merab's looking at getting the biggest scalp of his career, and it would be the biggest scalp of his career, because this guy right here is one of the greatest of all time. Future Hall of Famer Jose Aldo, probably the greatest featherweight we've ever seen in the UFC. Now, yes, deep into his, I think 35th year, this is his 39th fighting competition. But down at Bantamweight, Brendan, he's looked brilliant. He's had a great run down at Bantamweight. But it's up to Merab to halt that, to take away his top contender status. We've seen Merab the grappler. We've seen him dominate. I think he's on a 7-fight win streak. But last time out, that win over Marlon Moraes, to get that finish against Marlon Moraes, that was a real statement for him and gave him a different level of confidence. And that's what's landed him the fight this weekend.
All right, so Jose Aldo, still just 35 years old. It's amazing to think he wants to be remembered as a champion.
I was in school camps when he was in the WEC, I'm sure of it. That's how long it was.
Yeah. So there's the stare down yesterday. He's a small underdog, is Jose Aldo against Merab Dvalishvili. You said definitely the biggest opportunity for Dvalishvili to give Georgia another fighter on the way up. Of course, Giga Chikadze. There's a host of guys from that country that have really come on strong, but you talk about the King of Rio, it's a different kind of level.
Oh, absolutely. It would be exponentially the biggest win of his career. The strange thing is, from Merab's point of view as well, he beats Aldo, he becomes the #1 contender in the division. His best friend is the champion of the division. I'm sure we'll talk about Aljo's next fight against TJ Dillashaw later on in the show, but Merab's already said, when I beat Jose, don't be pushing me in line. In fact, I might even go down to flyweight, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
And Aljo, to your point, has mentioned, I'm going to defend the belt, kind of send my message at 135. I'll go up to featherweight, and I'll let Merab be the champion at 135.
There you go.
Their bond is so strong. Do not expect to see them make the walk and in the octagon together.
They fight each other every day in the gym.
Exactly. That's what the sport is. They just can't do it for real. In just a few minutes, the scales will be open here at 9 a.m. local time in Salt Lake City for these fighters to hit the scales. You may have heard John Anik in the background make an announcement. There was a fight cancellation this morning. Miranda Maverick was set to fight Shanna Young this weekend. That fight will not happen. So we're down to 12 fights this weekend. Still a great card. Let's circle back to that main event. And Leon Edwards as a heavy underdog. You mentioned the improvements. Where do you think he's made the improvements so that he can really feel good about pulling off what would be a gigantic upset?
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that in the first fight, he stuffed 50% of Kamaru's takedowns. And back then, Kamaru was just a grappler.
Right.
He was fresh out of the Olympic Training Center. He was just a get hold of you, put you down, pick you up, put you down kind of machine. And Leon wasn't doing any wrestling at the time, and now he is.
Yeah.
So I think that could surprise a few people. Imagine if he became the first person to take Kamaru down. What a statement that would be from Leon Edwards.
That would be quite a statement. A 100% takedown defense for Kamaru Usman pending this weekend. All right, you hear John Anik on the mic. We'll tune into the scales, and it looks like the champion, Kamaru Usman, is first.
As expected, Brendan. Always first on the scales.
.170, the official weight for the champion, Albarracin.
Yep. Damn.
Championship weight, usually no question for Kamaru Usman.
Of course, absolutely. He's been doing it his entire life, hasn't he? He's well versed at this. This was just a formality for him But you can see there when he's standing on the scales exactly why he's cast in the next Black Panther movie, because he looks sensational.
Yeah, why you also wouldn't button your shirt, right?
Exactly.
You know, we're wearing the cover-ups here.
Abs for days.
All right, here's Leon Edwards.
This is what we like to see.
Good sign when the main event guys are first to the scale.
Exactly.
All right, 170 pounds for Leon Edwards. Our main event is official.
Looks sensational. Again, completely different physique, a lot leaner than Kamaru Usman, but don't forget Leon is a couple of inches taller than Kamaru as well, so different type of body frame, but nice to see them both on the scales, nice and early. That's out the way. We've got our main event. Sensational stuff.
Usman is usually the shorter fighter in the equation.
Yeah.
That holds true this weekend. I mean, Leon's going to be taller than most guys in this weight class as well.
Of course. But he's got that reach, and that's where his striking,
Yeah.
his strengths really come in, that reach advantage that he has.
So this is a look at Daniel Da Silva, who will fight in the first fight against Victor Altamirano at 125 pounds. I don't think he's ever been to a decision.
No.
Yeah. There's never been the distance. On the other side, out of Mexico, Victor Altamirano off of Dana White's Contender Series. I mean, he brings it like crazy too. So this one won't take long.
No, this one won't take long at all. What an opportunity for these guys, though, to really get their UFC 10 years up and running, kicking off a pay-per-view card here in the US. Incredible stuff.
And there's a way to set the tone. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right? You set the tone with the top of the main card. That's why you want all action in the top of the main card. Top of the night, though, I think when you start setting a standard for bonuses early in the night, I think fighters take notice of that.
100%.
And certainly the crowd is into it right away.
Well, listen, one of the best cards this year, British fans will remember, back in March, UFC London. The tone was set early on. Mo Mokaev got in the cage first on, sensational performance, and the place just went wild. And from then on, it was like, who can do better? Who can do better?
Exactly.
We ended up having a record-breaking night. So a little bit of pressure on those boys to absolutely deliver on the early prelims.
All right, so here's Almir Albazi. He's a very bright prospect at 125. He is a near minus 500 favorite. That's a heavy favorite. I don't know what it is in pounds, but he's a big favorite over the champion's brother, Francisco Figueiredo.
Crazy. And it just shows you the caliber this guy's got, and how much people who train with him alongside him talk him up, and we've seen glimpses of him so far. He just looks like he's got everything, He ticks every box. A real hot prospect, definitely one to remember. Again, another flyweight.
Right.
Don't forget, Brent, it was only a few years ago. We're talking about ditching the flyweight division, and now it's just ferocious.
What do we got here? Here's Victor Altamirano.
There we go. Top and tails. The first card's done. Top of the bill's done.
Brings a lot of enthusiasm to the craft, and he plays the cello.
Wow, okay.
So he started playing the cello. So if you
look
check out
forward to
Victor
that in the
Altamirano
post-fight
on
party.
Instagram, training photos with the boxing gloves on, or you'll get some classical music for tea time. And here is another big underdog on the card. This one opens up the main card. Tyson Pedro looked great in his return. He was off for a few years.
Yes.
And he absolutely dusted Ike Villanueva, and now he returns against Harry Hunsucker. From humble beginnings, but now at 205. He was fighting at heavyweight his first several UFC fights, so the results aren't there, but the potential is in this weight class.
Absolutely. Listen, the guy's never been to a points decision, win, lose or draw. He's always had a finish, and he found it tough up at heavyweight. The thing I don't like, he lost to two Australasian heavyweights, and now he's fighting an Australasian down at light heavyweight as well. I don't know what Harry's got to do to fight somebody outside from a different continent.
Yeah, sure.
But you're right. Tyson Pedro for me is the real deal.
He was very much on his way up a few years ago.
Yes.
I think it was a knee injury, and then there was all sorts of complications surrounding that, and kind of had to go through the mental battles it takes to be out for that long, to kind of question. Said he questioned, like, am I going to put in all the necessary work to compete at the top level again in the UFC? Looked great in his return. I'm excited to see him. We'll see him later on the weigh-in window.
Well, the prelim guys are coming out anyway.
Yeah.
the official weight for Francisco Figueiredo.
So there is the brother of champion Davison Figueiredo trying to carve his own way in the UFC.
All the flyweight boys hitting on the scales.
When your brother does what he does, I mean, that sets the bar pretty high. Man, what a tough job he has. Try to live up to what Davison Figueiredo has done. All right, Wu Yanan back to the main card. She's in a women's bantamweight fight against Lucia Pudilova. A couple of action fighters in this division.
Yeah, these girls were only promoted to the main card a couple of days ago as well. They knocked off Tybor and Romanov, the big heavyweights. They knocked them down to the prelims. They get a wonderful opportunity. You know, Wu Nanan had a great career outside of the UFC. She's come to the UFC. She's found it going a little bit tough. I think she's 1-4 in the UFC so far. But she gets a great opportunity against Pudilova, who had a very similar run, was cut by the UFC, and actually makes a comeback this weekend.
Lucia Pudilova was in one of, I mean, she can bring it. When she's on the money, the crowd will get behind her pretty quickly.
I think that's the good thing for both these girls, though, is the fact that it's happening on a main card. The energy is going to be crazy.
Right.
But I think both their girls, they know their backs against the wall. They've got to perform to stay in the UFC, and I think the energy in the room will make them both bring it. What a fight that'll be.
Well, Jared Gordon up to the scale for a 155-pound bout. He takes on Leonardo Santos. And Gordon's battles with addiction in the past, well documented. He loves using this MMA platform to try to improve the lives of others. Gets the scale at 155.5.
He's looked great recently as well. You know, he was on a tremendous run until he got subbed by Grant Dawson back at the start of this year. But prior to that, I think he was on a 4-1 run in the UFC. The only loss was against Charles Oliveira. He was, you know, he looked like he was really going to go on a good push, but you know, he needs to bounce back this weekend.
Yeah, Ange Losa now making his way to the scale. This is a welterweight fight against AJ Fletcher. AJ Fletcher off the Contender Series. And he's kind of a protege of Dustin Poirier. Ange Losa will have his work cut out for him. I believe he was on the Contender Series as well.
Yeah, I think a bunch of these guys coming through of.
I mean, we're nearing the tipping point where it's like more than 50% of the roster is going to be from the Contender Series. That's the kind of launching pad it's been.
It's been incredible success of it, though. The way to kind of replace tough as being the way to find the next layer of talent.
So Losa hits the scale. You know, if anyone's weighing in the first 10 minutes, you know that they're on the money. So there's no drama here in terms of who's stepping on. Will they make it? Will they not? I'm trying to look for, you know, I guess, you know, like we said before, Costa Rockhold. I mean, that's really the show this morning, especially now that the main event is kind of signed and sealed. Really, the next shoe to drop is that co-main event at 185 pounds. Here we go.
Here we go.
Former world title challenger and number 6 ranked contender, Paulo Costa.
Well, he promised me he'd make 186. He said all week it's absolutely not an issue. He's been injury-free. He arrived in town lighter than ever before. He looks happy.
DLF! DLF bell! Sunshine!
185.5.
There you go.
He looks like the old Paulo Costa, that's for sure.
He does. He looks great. He looks great, you know. And not necessarily just physically how he looks as well. Just speaking to him this week, seeing him around Salt Lake City, he's got a smile on his face. You know, he's cut a lot of the noise around his team. He said, "I've cut a lot of that back now. You know, I've got back to what I need to be." And you know, he took a bit of criticism from Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira said, "You're a social media star these days.
Right.
You're not a fighter." And he took it on the chin. He said, "You know what? Glover's old school, man. In the modern fighting, the modern game, you need to be a social media star and a fighter." And he said, "I'm trying to find the balance. I think I've found the balance now." And he truly believes that he can go on another push at middleweight.
All right, Albarracin Lang has fought at 125 in the past. He's known as an all-action scrapper. He fights Jay Parent, small favorite in the matchup, stepping up to 135 pounds.
This kid brings action as well.
136 for original.
Looks good at the weight.
Well, if you call yourself the Mongolian murderer, I think you kind of set yourself up for, you know, you got to bring something to the table in that regard.
Competing in the UFC's featherweight division, Luis Saldana.
I like this matchup. This fight between
This will be a fun
Woodson
one,
and
sure.
Saldana. This kicks off the broadcast on BT Sport 1 at 1 a.m. And I tell you what, don't blink. Both Woodson and Saldana are old boxing guys, similar to me. Backgrounds, I think Saldana's a former Golden Gloves national champion here in the US. Woodson had an early boxing career too. These two are going to stand and bang, which is how us Brits like it, Brendan.
Right.
We like guys who stand and bang and trade leather.
Well, and these guys are Midwest tough from the central part of the country. He's from Iowa, and his story, he was on the Contender Series too, and his story of getting into fighting, they used to have like open fights at a bar, right? You go to a bar, no sanction, no nothing. The bar was called Uncle Buck's. If you want to go and fight, you sign your name on the sheet. They call you up like a karaoke night, and you just get into a fight. That's how he started.
I love it.
This wild stuff. All right, here's AJ Fletcher, as mentioned before, protege of Dustin Poirier from down in Louisiana.
This kid's got some heat coming with him as well. There's a lot of people down there who are excited about this guy.
170.5 for AJ.
And really what's been clear is that the UFC has done a great job at these full arena shows stacking the type of fighters that are going to blow the roof off of the place.
Exactly. These type of matchups that may not be household names
to
people watching from home, but the matchups here that we've got, you know, as I say, 2 Golden Gloves guys there, we've got 2 guys there with massive reputations. No one's taking a backward step because they realise this pay-per-view type of platform opportunity doesn't come along often. And you've got to take it with both hands, because you perform on a big card like this weekend, then guess what? Maybe next time you're on the main card.
Right. Or if you want to keep fighting in front of fans, well, then give the fans something.
There you go.
If you want to keep fighting in those full houses, there's Jay Perrin. So that fight is official now, 135 pounds at bantamweight between Arichi Long and Jay Perrin. Kind of ripping through these. The featured prelim is at heavyweight, so again, there's not much drama. Here's Lucia Pudilova, return for her, as you mentioned, outside of the UFC, coming back at 135. She fought at flyweight a little bit as well.
Yeah. Great opportunity for her, as I say. She was in the UFC. She had a 2-5 run. She left in 2020. She's already back just 2 years later. She's gone 5-1 outside of the UFC in a promotion called Octagon back in Czech Republic. A good, a promotion with a good reputation out there. And that's what it's all about. You know, the end of your career doesn't mean, if you get cut by the UFC, it doesn't mean it's the end. It means go away, work harder, and come back and put yourself in a position where we can't deny you anymore. And Pudilova's done that. Lucy's done that. And you know, it's credit to her. It's credit to her coach John Kavanagh as well, that the work that they've done, that they're back here today, and the fact that she's back and on the main card as well. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, you like to see it. She was such a young prospect with such promising performances. I think the UFC, it's almost like they're doing you a favor. Like, let's not throw you to the wolves all the time. You're 25, 26 years old. Get better. You still have plenty of years left on your career. If you want to come back to the top level, make the improvements, and she's done so.
I think we see that a lot in the women's divisions as well, because there isn't that depth, you know. So it's very unusual to see a woman go on a long unbeaten run, because there's not that many opponents you can have in your career to get those L's where you learn. So you've got to try everything, and usually you get thrown in at the deep end in the UFC. But as she's proved, there's always a route back.
So a lot of people high on
He's
Alexander Romanov, undefeated, 12-11. This is his biggest test, no question about it. I mean, he's kind of walked through a lot of his opponents so far, but he hasn't faced a guy like Marcin Tybura yet.
16-0, 15 finishes, 5-0 in the UFC. That's some serious stats out there, you know. And Tybura, he's going to come looking for Tybura's chin, you know. And Tybura's going to have to use all his experience to get this fight to get this fight past the first round, I'm telling you.
Apologies for that Brazilian flag. He's American, but still in the building. And the most important thing is he's fighting. Representing St. Louis, he added to the ink there. 146. I mean, you're not going to see many 6'3", 145-pounders. This guy is a unique body type for the division.
Yeah, listen, and this guy, another product of Dana White's Contender Series, knocked out Terence McKinney in the final of Dana White's Contender Series to get into the UFC. That is a win that looks better with age.
Sure.
Big win. I love that fight.
So here is Merab the Machine Dawalishvili in a high-stakes matchup at 135 pounds.
If you're wondering why Merab is moving pretty slowly there, I had a good chat with Merab this week. He does not water load. He does not salt bath. He doesn't do any of the modern kind of movements towards cutting weight that we see a lot of the fighters do. He does it the old school way. He puts on 3 tracksuits,
Yeah.
He
Plastics and goes, huh?
and he just goes, no food, trains in 3 tracksuits. It's old school, and I was
Wow.
like, Mirab, man, wow, come on. And he said, no, that's just the way I have to do it. Because it puts me in a mental state for war as well.
Right.
I have to put my body, torture my body, put myself through it to prepare myself for battle.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy,
Fought in,
but I like it.
he fought in New Mexico in February 2020, which is about 7,000 feet elevation. His team didn't tell him to train harder for the high. Didn't tell him about the high elevation because they said he would just train himself into the ground. You know, if like he already turns it on so much.
Rockhold looking
All right,
well.
here's Luke Rockhold.
He's concerned as... No, you can't put your watch on the scales, Luke. That needs to come off, surely. He's put his gold watch... Oh.
85 and a half.
The official weight for Luke Rockhold.
He's had an unusual week, Luke. You know, he's been quite truculent with some media. He's had a few
kept
things.
it real.
He's kept it. That's one way to put it. He's kept it real. But tell you what, listen, we had a fantastic interview with him on BT Sport. You know, it's available over on the YouTube channel. But he really opened up about the journey he's been on the last couple of years, where he is right now, where his headspace is, and why he's here. You know, because that was the $1 million question. I said, Luke, you've been a champion. You've done it. You've been to the top of the mountain. You've got nothing left to prove in the sport. Why are you back? And he said, well, I've got something to prove to myself. I'm here because I believe I've got much more to offer, and I wouldn't be able to rest easy if I never gave myself the best chance to come back. He said his mindset's different as well.
Yeah.
His mindset's completely different.
Here's Tyson Pedro, light heavyweight.
Huge fan of Pedro. The Pedro family basically brought MMA to Australia. It's that job. Looks
So
great.
205 and a half, big smile on his face. He was somebody who really proved it to himself the last time out when he fought in Las Vegas a few months ago. Brother-in-law of Tai Tuivasa, if
That's
I'm not
right.
mistaken.
Yeah.
What a crew that is.
That's some Christmas dinner, that, isn't it?
Tuivasa on deck in Paris in a couple of weeks. Assume you'll make the trip for that, Nick?
Yes, looking forward to
Short
that one.
jaunt for you
Absolutely.
guys.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that one. That's going to be a great fight. Hopefully it plays out. Unfortunately, not like the fight with the heavyweight, the other semi-final, if you
Sure.
like, which was Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades,
Sure,
which
yeah,
ended
unfortunate.
prematurely.
All
Hopefully
right.
we get a winner there.
All right, folks. Well, we have the big time guest of the morning that we're going to have. England's own Leon Edwards will join us momentarily. Here he is, walking to this little cocktail table with a smile on his face and the sunglasses on. Leon Edwards, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you feeling after hitting that weight?
Feeling good, hitting that 170, championship weight. I feel good. I bring it down gradually throughout camp. I don't just crash at the end of camp, and my body feels solid. I feel solid, so I'm looking forward to Saturday night.
Remind me, have you made the championship weight before, right?
I made it before.
On a few
occasions,
did you do that always with this in mind? When my championship opportunity is here, I want to know what that 170 feels like.
Exactly. I've always prepared my mind, my body. Cause I know one day I'll be in this position, So, like I said, I am used to this. This is my 4th main event for the organization, and I am comfortable where I am, and I cannot wait for tomorrow night.
Were you surprised how easy it was? Was there a bit of nervous energy making the weight, and or
No,
were you in a good place?
I never really struggled making weight. Like I said, I'm very disciplined during camp. Most guys leave it to the end of camp to crash it and make the weight. I kind of bring it down gradually throughout camp and then cut it at the end. But as far as making the weight, I was never nervous. Like I said, I always knew I'll be here.
Yeah, Kamaru, like all of Trevor Whitman's team, they seem to always insist on being the first person on the scales. Making sure you were second on the scales, was that just you letting him know as well? Send a little message, or just coincidence?
Coincidence. We both pulled up at the same time, like 10 seconds apart. So, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't struggle making weight. I made the weight in the house. I drove here. You put up at the same time, and we're waiting at the same time. But it's all good.
What do you think about this week, Leon? Now that your opportunity is here.
I just feel comfortable, I feel belonging. I've been saying it all week. I feel like this is how it's meant to play out. This is how it was meant to go, and I'm just looking forward to tomorrow night. I don't feel nervous at all, I just feel ready and looking forward to raising that bout.
What have you reflected on, though? It's been, when you think back to your entire career leading up to this moment, but also the battles of just the past few years that you've had to get to this moment. What have you reflected on?
For me, I reflect on not just my career, but my whole life. It all helps me to this point. Pushing me through when I'm finding training hard or weight cuts hard. That's what I draw my motivation from, for wanting better for me and my family, you know. So that's what motivates me and pushes me on.
Everyone in the UK now is tuned into the show. Everyone's super excited. Everyone's sending in messages and letting us know, sending well wishes to Leon. Have you got a message for everybody back home?
I want to say thank you for the support over the years, and tomorrow night I'll bring that belt back. Let's go. Strap season is up on us, and I'm bringing it on for the UK and Jamaica, and thank you.
A lot's been made of your improvements. How would you describe your improvement since the last time you fought him?
I think it's night and day as far as my skill set. You know, I've grown leaps and bounds. When I first fought, I was only doing MMA for 4 or 5 years. I walked into the gym at 17 and I started learning about MMA. And then my first professional fight, I was 19 years old. So I was only professional for like 2 years, 3 years when we first fought, you know. So it's night and day as far as technique and understanding MMA, mixed martial arts, and how to mix it all together and to get the victory, you know. I think it's proven over the 10 fights. I haven't lost. I don't think I've lost a round, you know, but it is what it is. And yeah, we're here, we're ready, and tomorrow night we'll see.
So you have 36 hours about until you step into that octagon. What's tonight look like? The rest of the day?
Tonight we've got a big dinner planned,
there
so
you go.
we'll go for a big dinner with the team. I've been doing it, just taking it day by day, you know, just enjoying. I enjoy today for what it is, and tomorrow night I'll enjoy it for what it is, which is fight day, and take it as it goes.
Will you spend time with your mum tonight? Will she be around, or you know, wait until afterwards?
Yeah, probably afterwards. I'll probably stay with my team in our house and just want to be in that zone. You know, it's hard for me to like be around my family, and I need to
Switch
be in
back on.
Yeah, exactly. I need to be in that state, that mind frame to go out there and get the job done. After we can celebrate and enjoy life. You know.
Well, congratulations on making it this far, but I know there's no congratulations in order yet. Your job isn't done, but you know, you seem like you've carried yourself as a champion all week long, so all the best for the rest of the day into tomorrow. Thanks for taking a few minutes with us this morning.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Leon.
Leon
Cheers.
Edwards representing England and hoping to bring that belt back home and join the legendary list of fighters already out of England. Our friend Michael Bisping brought the belt home years ago. Dan Hardy fought for it years ago.
Darren Till.
You know,
This is
Darren Till
their time
fought
lucky
for it
with
as
this
well.
belt. Yeah, this
Can't
belt
remem-
has
you know,
evaded us for a long time.
Yeah,
Brennan. You don't
yeah.
realise the amount of hoodoo that's around this belt, you know, and Leon's, he doesn't carry that into the octagon with him, but of course there's been a lot of chatter about Dan Hardy's performance against GSP, about Darren Till's performance against Tyron Woodley, and can Leon go that one step further? Can he get it? And there's also a big thing as well about the fact that Leon is doing this fully training out of the UK. We've never had that before. Mike Bisping had to relocate to California to get that win over the line, and that's a big thing for UK fans.
Right.
To have a homegrown champ.
We'll see if it manifests. There's a look at the scale as we await several fighters to make their way to the scale. Jose Aldo, one of them in terms of the big fight. Henry Hooft is joining us. Henry, thanks for taking some time with us this morning.
Good to be with you guys.
How's Salt Lake City for you this week, Henry?
It's very beautiful. I've traveled all around the world and like 20 times probably, but I've never been in this beautiful city. It's really cool.
So Luke Rockhold's corner this weekend?
Yes.
Your thoughts on his return?
Excited, of course, to see him. He hasn't really been a lot in our training camp this time. He stayed in California. I trained with Jason a lot and the guys. So, yeah, we will see. I mean, he has all the skills to beat everybody. Everybody says that's the whole time, and it's just let's see which Luke comes out the fight night. You know, skills-wise, I think he's really, really good. Dangerous opponent, Paulo Costa, powerful young guy, hungry guy. Comes off 2 losses, so he has a point to prove. Both of these guys have. So. Another thing, Luke is my friend too. He's not only one of the guys that trained at my gym always, but he's a friend. So I want him to do good, you know.
Is it important for Luke to feel his way into the fight? Because obviously Paolo's so explosive, you know, he's in great shape. We've seen the kind of form he had before he ran into Israel Adesanya. Luke's been inactive for 3 years, 4 years if you count his last fight at middleweight. Is it important for him to, you know, not get caught in the headlights a little bit and just get back in there and get a hold of Paolo and feel his strength a little bit?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, every time, don't forget, every time as trainers we tell him his grappling is great, and every fight he can do that. But he has sometimes have the tend to stand up and show that he can strike so very good. He is a very skillful striker, but I think when you mix it up, the striking will open up even easier. And like I said, the other fights, the last 2 fights, he was prepared very well. He looked really great, but it needs to happen on the day of the fight in the spotlights, and there's a lot of pressure on him. He's good at everything. Everybody says that it's true. Luke is good at everything. He throws the best frisbee in the world. He plays tennis. Everything he does. I call him 007. He is handsome.
And he's handsome as well, yeah.
Not as handsome as me, but he's very handsome. But so he can do everything. He needs to do it. And he needs to show it. Especially now, this big stage with this opponent. I think it's a good opponent for him to show his skill sets. But again, very dangerous guy.
How would you describe your partnership with him? You mentioned he stayed out in California. Jason Parillo, Ruka. He's been a long-time member at AKA.
Yeah.
Shifted to Florida, I believe, in 2017 for you. But how has that partnership
I
remained
think
strong?
Me and him connect really well, like brothers. Like I don't know brothers. My brothers live in the Netherlands, but he's a real cool guy. I like to work with him. Why? I'm a striker, technical striker, and he's very technical. So to work with him doesn't feel like working. It feels like creating some art. You know?
Right.
It's different than in the fight, of course. So over the last couple of years, even when he trained at AK, even when he won the belt, we were working together on the pads and everything. And then later on, he moved to Florida and he lived with us for a while. Had a couple of fights with us. Then he went back to California because he's a real Californian kid. And he went training with Jason. And I think Jason and me are similar, very straightforward guys. Do your work and just do it good, simple things. But I think my relationship more, I want to be there to support him because again, this fight he wasn't so much in our training camp that we wanted really, because he stayed at California. But I support him as a friend and I know what he can do. I just wanted to come out one time. What he can do. If his skill sets come out, we're going to see a great Luke Rockhold.
I would say you corner as many, if not more, fighters than anybody else in the UFC. What sets Luke Rockhold apart?
I call him 007. He's different. He's just different. But skill sets wise, I told everybody, some people on social media asked me the same question. I said, on the pads and working with him in MMA, I never see somebody as a better complete striker as him. There are a couple of close guys. I don't work personally with Izzy, but Izzy is the same guy. But Luke has everything. He has kicks, he has good boxing, he has good eyes. But just in the fight sometimes he wants to make it too much of a fight. He needs to be on the outside, be technical, use his skill set, use his eyes. Don't show everybody how tough he is because you don't win fights by showing how tough you are. That's the way I think about it. So technically he's at that highest level. Really.
Is that part of the reason, Henry, why he's maybe not done as much sparring? That's been the feedback out of the camp. He's not really done much sparring for this fight. Is that because he is so technical to kind of save his chin a little bit? He is 37 years of age now, so you do have to change your training regimen the older you get.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, look, I have 62 fighters in my gym, 27 people in the UFC. Sparring on Tuesdays and Thursdays is like pay-per-view.
Yeah,
and I mean it. People laugh about it, but it's really true. So sparring in our group is not easy. Not for Luke Rockhold, not for nobody that comes there. You can ask everybody. But the younger guys, we like to spar. And it's very important to spar. You need to be sharp. But if you are so long in the game, he had a couple of good losses. I was with him in the hospital when his jaw got fixed and everything. So you need some time for that to recover from that, and I think he did that well. But I still want to see people spar because I want to see with my own eyes how sharp they are, where they at.
It's timing
the timing, and it's closest thing to sparring. But don't forget, real fighters, they like sparring.
Yes.
If a fighter starts telling to you, I don't want to spar so much, I got doubts. I want people that come to. I have to say no sparring because me, at 52, I still want to spar every day. So,
well, all the best this weekend, Henry. Thanks for taking a few minutes with us. Jared Gordon as well in the corner this weekend.
Jared Gordon, Ange Losa, and of course my former student, Kamaru Usman. Don't forget, he's still my student. We built that house together. Nobody forgets that shit.
Excellent. We'll have a great weekend. A busy one as usual for Henry Hooft. Will be in the corner of several UFC fighters. We'll get Jason Parillo, who's another cornerman of Luke Rockhold this weekend, but Henry Hooft, as respected, a coach in the game.
Absolutely, and it takes a big decision from Kamaru Usman to move on from there. Obviously I know there was the fight with Gilbert Burns, which kind of put a little bit of a splinter between that camp, but to come away from someone as skilled and experienced and as proven as Henry Hooft and go, you know what, I'm going to go and get a different look, I'm going to try something different, and then go with Trevor Whitman and seemingly add another thread to his striking arsenal. Could he have gotten that good with Henry Hooft? Absolutely, but maybe that one-on-one time, because we'd seen Trevor Whitman do that with Justin Gaethje. Take him from being this incredible grappler and adding that striking arsenal to him. So to make that decision, incredible from Kamaru, and it's paid in spades.
Excellent. Well, we'll welcome in Jason Parillo in just a second. We make you grab your own microphone, Jason. I hope that's okay. Here's Jason Parillo. High-profile spots for the head man at Ruka in California, you're on British television. I mean,
I love to be on British television.
It's fantastic, right? Me too.
This guy's got a British passport. You know that. We gave him a passport after the Bisping win.
I happen
you know that.
to coach the only British champion, haven't I?
That's right.
Hopefully, you won't be able to say that for too much longer,
well,
Jason.
I got 12 hours, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Jason, congrats on the Cheeto win.
Thank you.
What kind of week has it been like from the sea to the mountains this week?
Went straight through there. Not a lot of rest, right?
Right.
Yeah, not a lot of sleep, but it's been great. I mean, obviously, Cheeto's last win was huge win, beating former champion Dominic Cruz. It was beautiful. I'm still coming down from the high from it.
How's it gone for you and Luke this camp, getting ready for such a high-profile fight?
Well, I mean, Luke Rockhold's a world champion, isn't he? He likes to do his own thing. He likes to train hard. Fortunately, he's been training hard. He's in great shape. I'm excited for Luke. I mean, he's a fucking madman, for God's sakes. Right now, this is my first fight with Luke. Obviously, I've fought against Luke with past competition. Michael Bisping fought him twice. But he's a madman. He's really a madman right now. But he's a tremendous athlete. He's a true fighter, and I expect him to go out there and kick some ass.
We were just chatting to Henry Hooft, very similar line, but he's 37 years of age now, so he can't necessarily put his body through what he used to do when he was the champion. There's got to be an evolution in his training game. Has that been tough to juggle with him? Have you wanted him to do more, or has he pulled back? Have you pulled back?
I've wanted him to do more, and I'm sure Henry's wanted him to do more as well. But the issue is you're exactly right. He's an older fighter. He's 37 years old. I've worked with older fighters before in the past, world champs. He does remind me a lot of Tito Ortiz, to be honest. You know what I mean? I trained Tito Ortiz for a lot of years later in his career. And what happens when you get a little older, you got to make some adjustments, especially when you have injuries. And the body seems to be prone to injuries a little bit more as well when you're a little older as well. But yeah, he's put in as much work as you can in the game. Would we like more sparring? Sure, of course we would. But as you get older a little bit, you don't need to take that extra damage in the gym, and you might as well save it for the fight. See what we got when we get there. But Luke Rockhold, it's going to be fun. This is one of those fights for me. Like I said, it reminds me of when I worked with Tito Ortiz before he fought Ryan Bader. Ryan Bader, was a big favorite. I think 3-1, exactly like what Costa is. Tito hadn't won a fight in 6 years. Luke hasn't won a fight in 5 years. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's a very familiar scenario for me or situation for me. But at the end of the day, you never know what's going to happen in a fight. But I've got confidence in him.
What do you think makes Luke ready for this spot to pull off the upset?
Well, I would like to see a little bit more control in emotions, but at the end of the day, an athlete like this, maybe he needs those emotions to do what he needs to do in the cage. Right. He can be calm, cool, and collect, but that doesn't always work. Maybe he needs he's sparking his own fire right now.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, I'm hoping it works for him.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday at the final press conference as well. We were lucky enough to be backstage, and Paulo Costa was sitting with his sunglasses on, looking very relaxed. But Luke had his shirt open. He was pacing up and down. He was almost as if he was about to go to a fight. It was like he was kind of putting himself in that mindset already. That's the enemy over there. It was an unusual situation to see both guys, very contrasting kind of personas.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd rather see we don't need to fight at the press conference. We don't need to fight at the weigh-ins. We need to fight the night of the fight.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Luke probably knows that. But is it because he's been away for so long when he's kind of like trying to get the feels for it all again?
Oh, he's got tremendous. He had the feels. He came to my other fighter, Chito Vera, last week when he fought Dominic. Obviously, we just talked about that. But he was when we were in the locker room of Chito's fight, I felt like Luke was going to walk out.
Well, I was just going to say, Chito's not putting the game face on until the last step into the octagon.
Right.
You know what I mean? Talk about a guy who's cool and collected.
Yeah, very calm, very cool, very collect. But at the same time, I was in I didn't know who to look at in the locker room and say, hey, man, relax.
Jason, what's your philosophy on your team? You have just a few fighters, but all of them are extremely top level.
Really, my philosophy, fortunately, I have a private gym, Ruka, in Costa Mesa, and fortunately I don't have to pay bills there, so that helps. And at the end of the day, I don't have 50, 60 fighters in the gym. Would I want to handle that many fighters? No, fuck no. It's a lot of fucking work. At the end of the day, for me, my philosophy is I like to have a real relationship with the athlete that I'm working with. You know, it's very difficult for me, I think, to have a relationship with 50 fucking people. You know, you see coaches time and time again, every weekend you'll see them in the corner.
Right.
Every fucking weekend. How do you have a relationship with every motherfucker every weekend? You can't. You know, I mean, it's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I like money too. I'm just unfortunately not a businessman. I'm a coach. You know what I mean? I developed these relationships with these guys, and how much can I really give if I've got a relationship with 50 guys?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if I get 3 good fighters, or 2 good fighters even, I like 2. 3 starts fucking tipping the kids.
Well, you have Mackenzie Dern coming up in October.
I got Mackenzie in October, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, for me, that's really my pleasure.
Sure.
It keeps tight because for me, you got to develop a relationship with these guys too. Over the course of time, how are you going to draw anything out of these guys in a fight or two? You really got to spend a handful of fights with these guys, get to know them, get to know what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, and what their habits are, and just how they think, and that way there's a proper communication, you know, because when you're in that corner and there's a fist fight going on, it's fucking difficult to hear anybody, you know, let alone your own fucking mother, you know what I mean? But to have somebody that is in the grind with you day in, day out, which I am. I don't go and teach a class and have everybody do the same shit. I go in there and I train the individual for a couple hours a day, every fucking day, and try to develop the best we can.
So that makes it kind of intriguing because it's your first time being in Luke's corner, so it's kind of new ground for you as well. You know, it's the first minute is going to be, how's Luke going to react? How is he going to feel? He's going to wait for so long as well.
You're exactly right. It's quite the mind fuck. You know, if you have to try to overthink about it, you really can't, because you never know. Fortunately, especially in MMA. In the UFC, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really don't. And we got a really talented guy in Luke Rockhold, and the guy's a freak of an athlete. And we're going to find out. For me, it's going to be patience.
It's exciting.
It's going to be patience for me. You know, I got to just sit back and wait and see what happens.
Well, enjoy your weekend in Salt Lake, Jason. Thanks for taking a few minutes with us.
Appreciate it, guys.
I know what it's like.
Thanks
I don't have many friends either. I have like next to no friends. I keep my circle small. I tell myself it's because I want real relationships. Really,
it makes you feel better, right?
You know, right? Exactly. Thank you.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Cheers, guys.
Great.
All right,
Thanks,
Jason
Jason.
Parillo in the corner of Luke Rockhold, former coach of Michael the Count Bisping.
Correct.
First English champion. We will apologize for the offensive language out there, but when you're on YouTube and you give Jason Parillo a hot microphone,
there you go.
You're starting to roll the dice a little bit. So
absolutely.
But
it's going to be an unusual corner, that, because you got Henry Hooft, who's a chief second, and you're going to have Jason Parillo, who's a chief second, and you've got Luke Rockhold coming back for his first fight in 3 years. The dynamic in that corner, I'll be honest, it's either going to work or it ain't. You know, and that's going to be intriguing to watch play out as well.
We had Marcin Tybura hit the scales while we were talking with Henry Hooft earlier. I believe it was 242.5. So that was the weight for Marcin Tybura, 11th ranked heavyweight. Oof. He's taking on undefeated Alexander Romanov. How many? Just 2 more to weigh in, right? Leonardo Santos.
And Jose
Aldo. How about that? So Jose Aldo giving us a little bit of drama. Step up to the table here, would you, Aljo? I mean, I don't want to tell the champion what to do too much, but we're pleased to be joined by the UFC Bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling, in town for the weekend on a bit of a business trip, cornering Merab Dvalishvili. How you doing, Aljo?
I'm doing great, and I'm excited for my friend. I can't wait for him to seize the moment and take advantage of the opportunity.
What do you think of having such a close friend and training partner in your division really starting to climb towards where you are?
I think it shows that the work that we're putting in is working. You know, to have 2 guys from the same gym in the same division climbing to the top in the top of the division, you don't see a lot of that too often, you know. So I think it's a rare combination, and I think iron sharpens iron in this one, or was the steel sharpens steel? Yeah. In this one, the machine sharpens the machine, you know. So both of us, I think we wash each other's hands, and I think I help him, he helps me, especially for my training camps. He's my main training partner, and then I'm his main training partner as well, so I can give him the looks for sparring. I can beat Jose Aldo if I need to, bite down on my mouthpiece and throw a couple punches. So people, don't be fooled. I can strike a bit, you know. So don't listen to TJ. That guy, he's got something coming to him, you know. But I think that's the beauty of it. You have 2 guys that push each other to the limits, and you have a guy like Merab with a gas tank like that. That's all you need, man, and it'll make sure you have yourself more than prepared for a fist fight.
We've seen Merab a lot inside the octagon. Of course, he's on this incredible run at the moment. Performance last time out against Marlon Vera, that first round proved that he's got the minerals. Sorry, Aljo, I'll come down a little. He's got the minerals to go all the way, absolutely. But listen, last year you went over to Georgia with him. You spent some time in his hometown, all that kind of stuff. What's Merab like as a guy? What's he like away from the octagon?
Merab is literally the nicest person. Like, can never do no wrong in my book, and I think a lot of people's book. He would take his shirt off of his own back and give it to you if you needed it. You know, that's the type of guy that he is. We came to his country, and literally like a hero's welcome for him, and for him to show us around everywhere. I don't think I've done as much as I did in such a short amount of time in his country that I've done in the States. You know, he's taken us to almost every single landmark that we could possibly think of. You know, so it was exhausting because he made sure we got up and got to work, but it's just a beautiful culture, and to see the way that he grew up, very humble beginnings, is so different from the States. I mean, I'm sure there's places like that out here as well, but over there is just a different lifestyle, you know, so I can see where the work ethic comes from, and the kindness in his heart comes from his family. Just super nice people, and taking us to his village was really cool. And then they dubbed me Sterliani from Swanee. I'm a Swanee man now.
Love it. Amazing.
What stage are you at with your October fight against TJ Dillashaw? Bantamweight title, you're putting it on the line again. What stage of camp are you at right now?
This is the camp before camp, getting myself into shape, and like I try to explain to people, I have to get into shape in order to give Merab good sparring rounds. Otherwise, it's just like he's gonna just run through me. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Like after the first round, I'm exhausted, you know. So I got to make sure I do some prep work, get into shape, start doing a little bit of cardio, so that I could give him 3 hard rounds, and after that, gets me prepped for my camp. So after this weekend, this Saturday, I'll be officially 9 weeks out from my fight. So that's pretty much the scale right now. Just getting myself ready and primed and ready to go. Got to oil the machine and get the machine back into working order. You don't get into fight camp to get into shape. You get into shape before fight camp starts so that you can have a good, healthy fight camp and make sure you're healthy, strong, and make sure you don't have any injuries.
New York and Las Vegas, you know, back in the UK, that's a 4 or 5 hour flight. Yeah. And that's where you kind of split your time. What's the split for a championship camp coming up?
I think it's going to be half and half for this one. Kind of similar to what I did the first fight. The only thing is I will make sure my rehydration is on point this time. So you don't have Sterling that showed up for Yan 1. Even though I'm still proud of that performance, like in the sense of I didn't quit, kept going. Even though the guy was kicking my ass. But I think that's just what we're made of, you know. So this time, make sure we do it the right way like we did the last time, and get to just remind the world once again who's who. And I can open up a little bit more because I feel like I got the monkey off my back, and now I could open up with the hands and remind people that I can strike. Just look at my Pedro fight, look at my fight with Jimmy Rivera, look at my fight with Cody Stamann. Those are all striking matchups. So you guys want to see that again, stay tuned for October 22nd because the Funk is coming to Abu Dhabi.
This fight with TJ as well, I feel like you were kind of vilified a little bit by a lot of fans for the manner in which you had the belt wrapped around your waist with the DQ. You silenced a lot of doubters there. You silenced a lot of the critics there with the performance against Yan in the rematch, of course. But I feel like you're coming into this TJ fight and suddenly you're the white knight now. You're the hero. Everybody wants you to do a number on TJ Dillashaw. He's the bad guy. He's the guy that stepped out of line. That, you know. And I feel like it's just deserved for you. You deserve this moment to be like the fan favorite for a change.
You know, I feel like I was typically always the fan favorite, and then you kind of realize how quickly people can change on you, even though it was not your fault what happened, you know. It was my fault with the rehydration. I botched that, but for people to be upset that my friends came to my house and flew hundreds of miles to come see me fight, and they took pictures, and then it got flipped that I was faking. I'm like, dude, you ever been kneed in the head? You know what that feels like? There's no way I could fake that. But people are going to say whatever they want to say, and I think history is going to tell itself, and the resume speaks for itself. I've done my work. Now it's nice to be the guy that people are probably going to be cheering for in this one. Yeah. We might both be getting booed. You know, let's be honest.
No. Not after the performance in the second fight. No way. That's not going to happen. TJ's getting booed. Come on, let's be honest here.
He better. You better boo that man.
What conversations have you had in terms of Merab fight? You said you're going up to featherweight. Merab can have the title. Merab, I think, has said
flyweight.
You know, Merab said 125 for him. Like,
well, they say
go ahead.
American steel, Jamaican and American steel, right here, baby.
Notice me and Nick aren't doing that.
No,
but I mean, you guys must get that question asked a lot, or you think about it still, or is that just? You have a plan yet? You know,
you got to kind of think about it, but I think the main thing that matters is that we both just got to keep winning. So as long as we both keep winning, then it's a good problem to have.
Right.
You know, I'd rather have this problem and then we figure out what we're going to do, what's the best option for both of us. And at the end of the day, Merab wants to be a world champ. I think he has every tool to become a world champion, especially with the right matchups. And it's just a matter of time. Gets through Jose Aldo, I get through TJ Dillashaw, then we have a good problem on our hands to figure out.
The manner of victory for Merab?
Sorry?
The manner of victory for Merab? How does he get it done on Saturday?
I think second round or third round TKO. I think he exhausts Aldo and just kind of punches him out like he did Marlon Vera.
All right, we're going to let you go. I have to ask you one thing. Chito's right there. What do you think of Chito after what he did last week?
I thought it was a beautiful performance. I mean, he did what he could, you know, Dom did what he could do. He took his time, ate the shots, and landed a beautiful head kick off Dom's roll and smashed his nose. And it's just one of those things. You know, I still think Father Time played a little bit of a factor in that, and in terms of durability. But that head kick was something that anybody gets knocked out from, and let's call it what it is. You know, so I think he's a tough competitor, especially coming back from the Jose Aldo loss, the Lineker loss, and all those other ones, and showing that he's still one of the top guys in this division. Okay. I think it shows a lot. Kind of the same thing with me. We both had some ups and downs in our career. Now we're both at the top of the division, and who knows? Maybe you'll see a Chito versus Sterling down the line. So we'll see.
Can we manufacture some bad blood here with Chito? Like, can we get into it? I mean, we want to kind of stand out on our way in the show.
That's it, exactly.
All right. We're going to hear from Chito Vera in just a moment. Also, Merab has weighed in. Jose Aldo has not. He's one of two fighters left.
I actually didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Aldo.
That's not a good sign.
We'll see. I mean, you know,
35 years of age.
He's got an hour and 15 minutes.
Unless he's doing the Juliana Pena and playing us.
Yeah, just playing the games.
Why would you want to wait that long to rehydrate?
I don't know.
Correct.
We'll see. So we're still waiting one of two fighters. Thanks, Aljo.
Thank you guys.
See you, man. Have a great camp.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, make sure you guys dial in. Abu Dhabi, baby.
There we go.
We'll be there.
And as mentioned, we'll have Chito Vera hop on in here over the velvet rope, which, you know, I mean, we need to have the velvet rope around us.
Correct.
You know, we're doing this
Exactly.
the proper way. Otherwise, we would just get mobbed by, you know, everybody. My man, Chito Vera. Scorpion tattoo on the head. When's the new tattoo going in, Chito?
I was trying to get it next week in New York, but my boy is going to Florida for vacation, so I gotta wait. I would love to get it.
There's always a victory tattoo.
Oh, well, I'm getting my finger started up on Monday, so I'm getting something.
How you doing, man? What's the afterglow of this?
Yeah.
This fabulous knockout that you had last week.
You know, it's in the past. I'm living like nothing happened. I'm staying chill, staying cool, and just thinking of one thing. I gotta keep working, I gotta keep getting better, and I gotta keep pushing forward, because I said it before this fight. The fun performance won't make me perform against Cruz. I gotta repaint the picture, I gotta redo everything, and step by step, I'm getting there. I'm gonna be a world champion.
It's all joining together for you, Chito. Now you know the hard work that you've gone through, the losses that you had have just built you into the person you are now. And you walk like a champion, you talk like a champion, you're performing like a champion. It seems inevitable that this title shot's around the corner.
It's coming. I know it's coming. And the first thing I did was not getting crazy with I earn it, it's my time, and just start bombing the UFC. Like, they can do whatever the fuck they want. At the end of the day, I know they will give me something, because I'm doing the right thing. They like me. I'm marketable, so I just lay back. I'm like, I see everything going, everything playing in front of me, and whatever comes to me, it comes to me. But I know for a matter of fact, I'm getting that belt in my way soon.
I mean, I'm a big fan of you for a lot of different reasons, but I think that mindset of I don't deserve this, I'm going to go out and work for it each time. I mean, where did you learn that? That is such a refreshing, different take by somebody as accomplished as you are.
I believe I saw that on my father and on my grandfather. I never saw them complaining. And, you know, when you're a kid, you don't know when times are hard. You don't know when, you know, it's money or there's no money. You just live and you got everything. You're eating candy, you're having fun, you get a Christmas present. But then when you start getting older, when you start becoming a teenager and realizing things, you're like, okay, now it seems like my dad is not a good mom and he's not a good mood, he's having a hard time. I can hear him on the phone, you know, going over bills or he's on debt or whatever. And I never saw him complaining. I never saw him down. I never saw him like, oh, I can't make this happen. Or the guy used to wake up and work every day of his life until today. I have him with me right now. I brought him here so he can enjoy from another side of the cage. You know, now I'm not fighting. He's not like, you know, nervous and wishing his kid don't get hurt. So like I brought him so he can enjoy the whole thing. But I did got it for him. Like he never showed me weakness. He never showed me any type of complaint. And that doesn't mean he don't have a hard day. That doesn't mean he's not down. He just have the right mindset. He just keep going forward.
Is that one of the key motivators for you to keep pushing on and keep striving and keep pushing for this title opportunity, knowing that what your dad has done every day, worked his entire life to provide a platform for you to build on that? Is he the first person you're going to give the belt to?
Yeah, I want him on the cage with me. I want my wife and kids in there. I want everybody like last fight, but I just want to give myself and my family just a little better, at least the same that I grew up, because I grew up with everything. I grew up with a dad that works for us, move us from the small town to the big city so we can have better education, better everything, and I can't do less. That's why I can't stop. That's why I can look back and just be like, oh, I'm cool, I can chill. Like, there's no chill. Life never ends. It's a non-stop train that if you get out of it, you stay behind. So the best years of my life are ahead of me.
Yeah.
So why not push it? Why not do everything now, be all in? Because I can see it, and I got the heart, the guts to go and do it. So why not?
Absolutely.
I know you can't rest on the performance of last week, but can you think about and describe what it was like to fight in that full arena in a main event against a guy like Dominic Cruz in Southern California?
And perform that way? Wow.
It was awesome. You know, I think I'm just making history for myself, for my country. Like, that was the first time full pack arena, second main event. I was able to speak on the mic on weigh-ins. That don't happen on the Apex. So it's just like those little things I'm able to to tell myself like, wow. When I was a kid, I used to see guys doing that. I used to see guys on top like Anderson, like GSP, and I'm like, I'm right there. I'm heading that way, and the walkout was everything. The way the people was trying to grab my hands, and the way it was going through the tunnel and pack side left and right. I really felt like one of those Anderson Silva or GSP walkouts with a pack arena back in the day, and it's just awesome to see that in front of me, and I'm doing it. It's beautiful.
Did you smell what was happening on your walk in there? I mean, you blast the reggae music, and I'll tell you, it smelled different in there after.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it was a true Southern California vibe in there.
I love it. I was proud of my people right there. I was like, fuck yeah. I'm like, I want to take a hit before the guy jump in, but you know, they won't let me. But you know, I put out Chronics music. That's one of my favorite songs, and just how the crowd took it, it was fucking beautiful. Like, everybody was just pumped, and I can feed from that.
Yeah.
I just become better.
You turned on, yeah.
I turn on because there's only one place you need to shine, and it's under the lights.
Right.
Doesn't matter what you do in the gym, doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter what's your leading up to the fight words. You better shine under those fucking lights. That's it. Yeah. That's the only thing that matters in life.
Let's bring it back to this weekend then. Obviously, Luke was in your corner last weekend. We've seen a footage on Embedded of him jumping around the dressing room and celebrating with you. But 37 years of age now, he's a different version of Luke Rockhold than when he had the belt. What's he been like in gym, and what energy does he bring to the gym?
Well, he's extremely talented. He's very gifted. He's well-rounded. His ground game, it's from another planet. The wrestling, the jiu-jitsu he can kick like a mule. He's just keeping his mind right, and I have that feeling that we will see some vintage Luke Rockhold. He's gonna go in there and do some good stuff. He's been training. He's in great shape, and you know, he's been working with Parillo too. So I'm seeing something really, really fun ahead for him. Like, he's doing some damage Saturday night, and expect some fireworks because he's ready to go.
Chito, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate it, guys.
Enjoy all your success and whatever.
Thank
you back in the gym and everything?
Coach told me to.
Give him a week off. Give him a week off.
He usually says Monday or Wednesday.
I normally go right back. Coach told me something like, hey, just relax.
Yeah.
I got you.
If it's up to me, I'll be already throwing bombs in there.
Never the question. I wasn't trying to do that. Thanks, Chito. Have a great one.
Thank you.
We're still awaiting two more fighters to step in on that scale on stage. One of them, Jose Aldo. and Leonardo Santos, the other one in a lightweight matchup. Jared Gordon and Merab Dawaliashvili, the opponents in each respective matchup. Kicking off the main card.
Oh, yes.
Tyson Pedro out of Australia is getting set to get back on the proving grounds. How you doing, Tyson?
Yeah, good, man. Excited.
Yeah.
Be back in front of the
full
fans.
arena crowd, exactly.
Oh,
how do you describe that for you?
There's description, man. There's nothing like when you get that 1 minute call and it's cold in the arena, and then you hear the fans, you're behind the curtain, and it's just roaring. And as soon as that light comes on, you start walking. It just hits you. It's almost like an energy. It just pumps through you, man.
Yeah.
So I walk, I feel the music, and I'm getting tingles now thinking about it. There's nothing like it, and that's why it's so addictive.
Well, it won't be long until you make that walk. Yeah. How would you describe, though, your return to action? Several years off and a lot of knee injuries and just a lot of hiccups along the way, but what a way to return with that big win over Ike.
Yeah, it's it's always looking back on it that you go, man, that was for a reason. Like, there's a lot of good things that came from it. I had a baby.
From the injuries and all that, yeah, sure.
I had a baby. I became a better person, better father. I learned a lot about myself, and it's been a journey, but that's why I love martial arts, man. I owe martial arts my life.
Was there ever any time, Tyson, during the break, because you've done this forever, your dad basically brought the sport to Australia. Yeah. But was there ever a time during that break where you thought, maybe I'm done, maybe my injuries, maybe all these years of training are going to catch up with me?
I never thought that. Like, I always knew I was going to be back there, but I will tell you, when your family starts going hang it up, it does get tough. Like, it starts pressuring you, because in my head I know I was supposed to be back there, and I knew I was going to do whatever it takes. But when your family and your close ones start going, hey man, wrap it up, it's been 4 years, like, it starts wearing you down. So
especially when the family put the sport on the map.
Sure,
and there's so much success.
Not like they were an unsupportive family.
Well, exactly what I mean. It's
right.
like there's so much success in Australia, New Zealand. There's belts everywhere now. It didn't feel right that the Pedro family wasn't involved.
100%. So, yeah, man, it was just there was like ups and downs, of course, and I think that's just like everyone goes through them, man. It's how you do it, how you deal through the adversity, and how you come back from it. So I was glad that I was able to do that in my last fight.
Well, it didn't come with the full arena, the last fight that you mentioned, but how was it for you mentally to make that walk and to step back in and perform and be in a real fight again?
Yeah, I've said it before, I visualized it so many times that it felt really natural. Like, the only thing that I was missing in the visualization was the crowd.
Right.
So it's like I'd already done it 1,000 times, so it was pretty comfortable. Obviously, I love it, so that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, the crowd this weekend is going to be something quite different. We were chatting earlier saying, so there's a different type of energy when UFC comes to towns. It's not Vegas, it's not New York. Somewhere like Utah, somewhere like Salt Lake City, there's a different energy. The fans are feverish for a big moment. And Harry Hunsucker's coming down from heavyweight. Yeah. He's not had great success against Australasian fighters up at heavyweight.
Hates Samoans.
He does, yeah. I don't know what's going on, But listen, he's coming back down. He's obviously a big guy. It's a case of speed kills, isn't it, for you?
Yeah, for sure. Like, obviously I'm faster. The media's been a bit rough on him, so if I was in his position, obviously I'd come out swinging, because his back's against the wall. He's got something to prove, and if that was me, I'd come out trying to hunt heads. So I expect him to try and swing, but I just know that my best is going to beat his best.
How do you view this opportunity for you to not only fight in an arena, but you're kicking off the main card?
Yeah, but putting it on the main card makes a difference, man. Yeah. Getting the views, so hopefully that just keeps it rolling. I want a quick turnaround, try and keep pumping it out. I've been off for way too long. So
when before the time you were away, obviously we were talking about you potentially as a title contender. How are you going to move through the light heavyweight division? You've lost a couple of years there. It's time to get the wheels back in motion again. 2023 could be a huge year for you. Huge year.
Yeah. That's what I'm aiming for sure. So, I know they haven't announced it, but yeah, I just really want to get a few good fights in.
There's a thing we put on an Australia card there.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Tell me. Give us the exclusive. Tyson Pedro exclusive. We're going to Australia.
I don't know what's happening.
Look at his face all red.
I know.
Yeah, I almost gave it up, so didn't I? So,
he said something he shouldn't have said.
I wouldn't mind getting. I don't even know if he's still in the roster, Shogun. No disrespect, but he took 4 years away from me, so I'd love to run that one back. Yeah. So maybe before the end of the year, early next year, and then just keep 2023 rolling, man.
Hey, there's a big card in Brazil.
No, I heard they get taxed there overseas. That's what I'm not looking for that, man. I'm trying to make money.
No, that's funny. The tax conversation on Brazil. I don't know what it is at this point. I know that James Krause fought down there, and he wouldn't fight down there. Who knows? That's a mathematical conversation. That's not for this particular show. Minnesota Vikings.
I've got a lot of family in Utah, and they one of my aunties goes for it. So
they're a few states away, but purple and gold looks good on you, my friend.
Thank you. Thought it was my color.
What do you what do you visualize this weekend? You talked about visualization, your return fight. What do you visualize this week?
Yeah, I've just been trying to picture a lot of the crowd, the walkout, the feeling of it, because sometimes, like when I first did
let's just let Jose Aldo weigh in, and we'll let you continue that thought.
He's an hour late to the scales. He doesn't look happy. He's missed.
So 136.5 was what they mentioned.
He went to get.
He's going to get the towel. Bring the towel in first.
Our signage, make that graphic just a little bigger, and you can do whatever you want, Jose. But for those in the room, I don't think we want that.
No, that's ought to be fine for me.
It is cold in here, to be fair, Tyson. It is cold. Let's bring the towel in. This is.
All right. Well,
Well, when you're the number 3 guy in the division, it's important that you don't miss, because you want to be the next guy talked about in a title contender. So. It's obviously been tough.
Was that a pound and a half? He's not going to get that from Mondays, right?
136.5.
Yeah, so 136 is the number that he needs.
Yeah,
so, if you have wet pair of shorts on.
Just do the DC trick.
Bingo.
Hey, nice.
How about that?
There we go. Nice. Wow, those half-pound underpants.
I was just going to say, when you're the king of Rio, your undies are at least a half a pound, right? If not more so. But you were talking about the visualization, Tyson, and what that meant for you in your return and what that means for you this weekend.
Yeah, it's become a big part of my game. You've been working with David Neath, who's Israel's mental coach and Kai's mental coach, so that's been a big game changer in the last, especially in the last fight. So just visualizing the crowd, the whole experience, it can be daunting. Like when I first made that walk out, the crowd and the even the heavy lights. Yeah. Like the first one, I was like jelly legs. So it's just going through all the feelings, the emotions that you'll feel during that. So you're prepared already, and nothing's unexpected. So.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that a fighter with your background, with your kind of experience, still gets nervous to make the walk. But I guess any fighter that says they don't get nervous is a liar.
Yeah, well, I think the nerves are what keep me prepared, right? Like if you just come in fearless, sometimes it'll make you make mistakes. So I like having a little bit of fear. Like obviously Hunsucker overreaches, so I've got to be wary of that. If I just come in confident, I get clipped. It's those little details, I think.
Yeah, nerves are important. Means it's important.
Yeah, as long as you've got butterflies, but they're flying in the same direction.
Right. Exactly.
Tyson, thanks very much for joining us this morning. All the
good
best
to
for the rest of the day.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great to have you back in there.
Appreciate it.
Leading off the main card on BT Sport 1 is Tyson Pedro. As he returns, second fight back for him since battling a lot of injuries, the ups and downs.
So talented.
And he was on just a meteoric rise in the division. And like he said, tough to deal with injuries and then complications with that injury and setbacks. In the rearview mirror, it can make sense, but he was on such a path to being a top light heavyweight. Must have been tough for him to take in those moments. It's good to see him in a great headspace.
Yeah, just to see him come back in April at the Apex, as you say, get that big win. That would have meant so much to him. He'd probably get. At one stage, when he was out, he probably said, if you can come back with only one fight, either bit your hand off for it. Just to have that feeling one last time. But as I say, their family is the rich tradition of MMA, and that family is unbelievable. And to have a Pedro back in the UFC doing his thing, kind of feels right, especially an Australian MMA fan. It feels right.
Yeah, and again, he was just such a prospect in that division, which it doesn't really have another prospect from down in Australia, New Zealand at 205 pounds, where it's really climbing the ranks. It's good to have him certainly in the mix, and he can put himself back in the mix for those ranked fights.
Of course,
if he gets the job done. That's a big favorite.
He's already talking about showgunners. He's always talking about guys in the the lower reaches of the top 15, and so he should, because he was there before, and he just needs to get back there again. So, yeah, good to see him back.
All right, well, it's good to not have too much drama during the weigh-ins. Jose Aldo.
That was important.
That was important for him to hit that 136 on the scale, especially if he wants to fight for the title again, as he did in his not bantamweight debut. He fought Marlon Vera before that, but he fought for the title against Piotr Jan. Didn't go his way, but he's been still earning it back. And we've seen this concept of dropping down. We've seen this from the guys like Jose Aldo. You think of Frankie Edgar.
Correct.
Guys that lightweight champion,
right?
Yeah. And then, if we're honest, in the modern day age, Frankie Edgar is not a lightweight.
No business.
And he probably wasn't a featherweight, even though he fought for the title there.
Correct.
But at 135 pounds is where he belongs. Cub Swanson's getting set to make that cut to 135 in a couple of months as well. It's just kind of the progression of the evolution of the sport that's still so young in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the shame for Jose was because he's Jose Aldo, he moved down and got a title shot straight away.
Yeah.
But what he needed was time. He needed to get a couple of wins under his belt. He needed to succeed and perform and become a top contender in the division. He's done that now. He's been allowed to put some wins together. He's been allowed to really get a feel for it. Obviously, it's a struggle. You know, he's 35 years of age. This is his 39th fight, and he's putting his body through things that he never used to put his body through before. So it's obviously tough. But he's also very experienced as well. You know, he's come down. He's an hour late for the weigh-ins. But maybe he planned to be an hour late for the weigh-ins. Maybe he planned to be here at 10 a.m. and not 9 a.m. You know, so.
Or he's an hour early, depending on who you ask.
Correct, exactly.
Right in the middle of the window. We're going to bring on Coach Eric Albarracin, famous coach of Henry Cejudo. We'll get his thoughts on Henry Cejudo and all those rumors. Come on, Captain E.
Call me Captain. Hey, I almost tried to invade your interviews. I was getting offended. You had Henry Hooft, you had Parillo, you had Cheeto, you had teammates. What are you guys waiting for?
It's called building up, okay? It's called building up.
On the stage.
We don't put Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards first. We put them last. So, Coach E, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
In the corner of Parillo this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah. How's he looking? And your thoughts on Parillo Costa?
I would say he's looking the best I've ever seen, and I've known Parillo since Tough Brazil 3, which is 2014. So that's 8 years. He's never been uninjured in a fight, so this is interesting. You see that he made weight. This is sober 3-round Costa, and sober 3-round Costa is undefeated. BLF belt is on the line. Best looking fighter. Costa versus Rockhold. Battle of who is the really, really ridiculously good looking. And the person that wins this is the hottest middleweight in MMA.
In more ways than one, obviously. I heard there's a Ralph Lauren deal on the line for the winner. Is that true?
Ralph Lauren, maybe even a cologne deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Which cologne? Bruce Buffer's new cologne? Because he's got a new line out
Does
too.
he?
Oh yeah. Guess what it's called? I'll give you one guess.
Sex Panther.
It's called It's Time. Bruce.
Of course
it's time.
You will.
I'll wear it.
How long has he been training? How long has Parillo been training with you guys?
I mean,
like as a fight camp, right? First one?
Is this my first camp?
No. Is this your first camp with Parillo Costa in the corner and all that sort of thing?
Myself?
Yeah.
I was in.
Oh, you've been in his corner several times?
Yes.
Okay, forgive me.
Yoel Romero, Johnny Hendricks.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, we fought former UFC champs before, so this is just another.
So what's the evolution in terms of the fact that you said sober Costa? I mean, he kind of admitted to that on Fight Island, and then the injury,
the bicep injury,
that he mentioned versus Marvin Vettori that kind of forced the weight class to be different. What's the difference this time around?
Just training smarter, you know. Sometimes it takes 1 or 2 losses for that stubbornness to like, hey, well, let me listen to what the coaches are saying. You know, Costa is somebody that you have to pull out of the gym. Like, you can't stop him from training. So he's somebody you have to slow down. It's not discipline or dedication. He just wants it so bad that he trains until his body gives out. And like, we're trying to say, hey, I've lost enough personally as a coach in world title fights, even with him, is I don't need to lose anymore to learn. I've done enough. So
a lot of the noise this morning and actually all week has been, even from Luke Rockhold, will he make weight? Well, I'll fight at 190 if he doesn't make weight. And I sat down with Parillo earlier in the week and he was like, I'll make 186, don't worry. It's all noise. And I was like, his headspace just seemed to be completely different. Everybody was making all this noise around the weight. And Parillo was just like, don't worry about that, I'm fine. I'm here to prove something. And he's got like a different look in his eye now. I think he feels like, right, okay, you've all turned on me. Let me show you what I'm all about. That's powerful.
Very powerful, and he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder. You know, Henry Cejudo was a fighter that lost 2 fights in a row and then really flew to the top. Matter of fact, I think his record was also 13-2, if I'm not mistaken, before he went on that run. But, his mindset has never been better. He's made a couple of coaching changes. They tried to distract him. Today, USADA showed up at 6 a.m. We were cutting weight till super late, past midnight. And
USADA called this morning?
6 in the morning. We were going to wake up around 7:30, to cut that last 2 to 3 pounds. And USADA came. Matter of fact, USADA's still in the room right now waiting for him because you're going to take my blood, and I'm dehydrated, and I can't go to the bathroom.
Come on.
How am I going to, if there's it used to be you could drink some beer, before to go to the bathroom, but he's got to fight. This isn't after the fight, after a victory. It's beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't drank water in 2 days. You're losing weight. Why would they come? That's why he was so pissed. He almost pulled a UFC Patty the Batty move and show him the moon. But that's they tried to rattle him today, but they didn't. Well, you saw it at the weigh-ins. They didn't rattle him too much. Not like Luke Rockhold got rattled by that reporter.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
you mentioned that, in the past, Parillo has maybe kind of wanted to do his own thing, or maybe he's held himself back because of how he's trained too hard. And now he's starting to kind of fall in line with the coaching system. What have you been telling him that you think it will be different in terms of abiding by that?
Well, as you get older, I was with Henry Cejudo since 2004, and you evolve. You have to continuously evolve, which means you have to train smarter. One thing I say to my world champions is, I think a lot of people already know this, but it's something to say it and it's something to experience it, is winning the title is easier than maintaining the title.
Of course.
And to maintain it, this is why you see kind of as these guys maintain longer and longer, they get more boring because they see the value in being the champion.
Correct.
Why take the big risk of going to war when you can just beat them with distance, point striking, and then if an opportunity arises, get the finish. But, as you see, like, guys that go to war, they don't last as champion.
No.
They win. So you got to become a smarter fighter in the cage, and then you got to become a smarter fighter outside. You're 32, you can't train like you're 22. You got to watch your windows of trainability. We continuously monitor his heart rate. How long can he stay in the anaerobic? How can he go past 160 beats per minute today? No, today we're got to stay under 150. Things like that. Where back in the day, he's training 7 days a week, redlining it every single day.
Yeah.
And that's, after 2 losses, he's like, maybe I should listen to what they're saying.
Of course.
Yeah. So he is, and I think that's the big difference is you want to really, I always say do you ask the right questions? I said, Paulo, you have me. I have, Henry Cejudo's here. Figueiredo's here. Patricio Patricky Pitbull, also world champion. That's four world champions of mine that you could come to and ask questions because they've all bought into to that system. All of them.
Yep.
They look back. They were all like Paulo. Everybody, almost 90% of people are sparring more than 2 to 3 times a week. So he's not that far off than anybody else. But there's champions and there's champion of champions, and that's somebody that's maintaining and conquering things that's never been conquered. And you got to be smart to do that. Smart in your training and smart in your strategy and tactics.
You've mentioned a couple of times Henry. We've seen him at events, calling people out, causing a ruckus the way he likes to do.
I don't know who taught him that. He was such a sweet boy growing up.
I'm sure. Will we see him back next year?
Shit, you might see him back this year. I think he might be an alternate for one of these world title fights coming up.
Okay.
They're afraid to fight him.
Yeah.
I think he's got to make his presence felt. I think, I know he's back in the USADA testing pool, speaking of USADA, so I think that ends in October, where his 6-month
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called.
Sure, yeah.
He's like validated, want to get back into competition again.
And that should end in September. October. That's coming up real quick.
So he's an alternate for the bantamweight title fight, you're saying? Maybe?
Well,
he could be.
I'm saying
because he's been saying for 145, but there's no scheduled
I don't
title
think he's
fight
an
at
alternate, but
145.
I'm saying he should be.
He could be, okay.
For one of them.
Yeah.
But I'm saying to force them to fight because they're afraid to fight him. It's Henry can promote a fight, and that puts pressure on fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, if you think Henry's an easy out, an easy fight, I was with Henry when he came back after the 2008 Olympics, and he took off 3 years. He went into boxing, came back, first match back, middle of Times Square, against one of the best Russians in the world. Henry hadn't wrestled in 3 years, not one match, and he beats the Russian. I've seen him do it before, so I think they should not underestimate him, even though he's been out
the sport's
for
not the
2-3
same.
years.
Let's be honest, it's not the same sport without Henry Cejudo. No. He brings a completely different energy. And listen, we're all bought in now. We've got Triple C. We want Quadruple C. I want to see Quadruple C.
I want to see the attempt at the
very
me
C4. Too. It's C4. We already got the
C4.
name picked out.
Okay.
It's C4.
I want to see it.
Triple C.
How high up does he want to go? Does he want to fight for the 155 title too? I would have he's already said that.
I've said if Dana, is afraid of him winning the belt and then leaving it, like vacating it, like GSP did, said, well, why don't you do this? Because Henry's all about gold. He wants that belt, and he deserves to as the greatest combat athlete of all time, retired on top. I said, let's make a BMF belt for the lower weights, 155 and below, and then you could fight somebody like Volkanovski, Aljo, Moreno. He could do all three. And then the final one he could do, if he was to come back and make 155, there was a fight. I'd throw him up against Conor McGregor for the BMF belt, 155 and below, after he beats all those guys.
Yeah.
That would be not something, but
quite an architect.
I don't think there's enough.
Quite an architect for a
put
career.
It all together.
But that's what I'm saying. It's the BMF belt. Right. You're not losing a belt in there.
Sure.
And then you got super fights for C4, 5G, G6, and we just keep going up the line.
I love it.
Well, Captain E, thanks for joining us, man, this morning. Have a great weekend. All the best to you. And
thank you. I love you guys over there at BT Sports.
There we go.
Eric. Appreciate it.
Eric Albarracin, Captain E, as I tell him. Coach of Henry Cejudo. He'll be in Paulo Costa's corner. They've been connected for several camps. One of the guys that makes our sport
absolutely
what it is.
Absolutely, and an incredibly successful coach as well.
Yeah,
he brings a completely different energy. But as you say, Henry Cejudo, one of the best that's ever done it. He's got to come back. But just listen to the guys who he's got in the gym down there. And John Jones has been no stranger to that gym as well. And Jones, of course, there's still more conversations about him potentially coming back later in the year. Man, I love this game.
Yes. Just awaiting one more fighter to weigh in. Leonardo Santos is the last fighter. He has about 40 minutes to get in there until the top of the hour. We're going to speak with John Anik, who you see coming in behind us. John, come on in, bud. We're ready for you.
Hi, guys.
How we
Nick,
doing?
Brandon, I'm good. How are you guys?
Let's get you a mic. Let's get you on the end. You join in the middle.
Get John in the middle.
Hey, guys. How are you, Fitzy? Good to see you,
man. I got to tell you, just because of the nature of our gigs, I'm just never in this guy's orbit. Almost never.
Right.
If he's here, I'm not. If I'm there, he's not.
This is probably the first time that we've cracked microphones together. Yeah,
yes,
so it's good to see you, boys. How we doing, all right?
Very well, very well. Excited because Jose finally made weight, and that's a fight that we're really looking forward to. The co-main event cannot not deliver.
Right.
And of course we're here for one reason only, and that's because we're hoping that Michael Bisping will be joined at the top of the summit with another UK UFC champion.
And I try to not lean too much into what I hear from the athletes during fight week, but it's hard not to get excited about Leon when you ingest everything that he has to say this week and you see his demeanor, and certainly some people get sort of wowed by some of the training footage. I try not to get too wowed by that stuff, but confidence is just oozing out of this man. And it was very interesting when he took a mic at Media Day and he said, this guy's not a very good striker. We don't think technically he's very good, and his coaches kind of believe that, and they think they have a lot of ways to win. So I'm excited to see what he can do with it. As I've said said repeatedly, I know Fitzy can relate to this. The most exciting part of our jobs oftentimes is seeing a first-time champion break through and win the title.
Correct.
He was there when Zhang Weili did it, and it's an exciting time. We'll see if Leon can break through.
For you now, at this point, on the flip side of that thought, how do you try to figure out what's different about Kamaru at this point?
It's a good question. I think a lot of people are trying to chip away at anything that might be perceived as a weakness, whether it comes to his body breaking down because he needs a hand surgery, and by the way, his body's not breaking down. But he has a focus, unlike anybody that I've really seen. And I think if anyone's suggesting that he would take Leon lightly, they just don't know this man. So I haven't seen really anything resembling a glaring weakness. I think the Edwards camp feels like he's a little bit slow on the feet, even though his jab's great. They feel like they can see it coming a mile away, but he's a layered martial artist, and I think his mind is his biggest asset, and I also just believe he has this uncanny ability when the lights are bright. He enjoys fight night.
Sure.
We talk about Georges St. Pierre. He didn't like fight night. Kamaru loves fight night. So.
Yeah. The difference I see with Kamaru as well is when you speak to Kamaru and you talk about being champion, you talk about being the pound-for-pound best on the planet, he takes that on board and goes, yeah, it's a heavy burden. It's tough. It's tough to be at the top. I'm telling you, he said, I've got a new sense of respect for the GSPs, the Anderson Silvers, people who have been able to put these long winning runs together. He said, because it's hard. It's much harder than when you went on your way up the hill. He said, but I live for this moment. I'm here because I want to be here. It's like he's made a conscious decision in his brain. I can handle it. I want to handle it. I want to stay here. And that is so powerful. So powerful.
Yeah, no, I think you put it well, Nick. And there's a lot of pressure on Kamaru, obviously, as there was on Amanda Nunes a few weeks ago at UFC 277. And, we opened the pay-per-view a couple weeks ago talking about these all-time great legacies, right? And to whatever degree, you put part of that legacy on the line every time you compete. Kamaru Usman doesn't necessarily care about the noise of being the greatest of all time, but all of a sudden you wake up Sunday morning, you're 1-1 against Leon Edwards, you're no longer the champion. It gives people some openings. So he takes that very seriously, obviously. And again, these careers can swing on a dime, so we'll see.
How do you try to gauge it? I mean, this is something that Nick and obviously the BT Sport crew can speak to better than us, the American guys, but what this would do for the sport, what this would do for Leon Edwards, but beyond England, Europe, having other champions in that part of the world.
It'd be huge, especially because he's truly homegrown and hasn't left. He did leave to try to get some other looks to see if he actually felt like he would need to leave to realize a UFC championship and to be able to train there for the world title. That wasn't necessarily Michael Bisping's reality. I think it would be enormous. He would also be the first Jamaican-born UFC champion, which I think, is going to ring true with some people as well. But the UK obviously has a lot of momentum. Fitzy and I don't get to go over there, unfortunately. I haven't been there in like 10 years, So I would love to be able to experience that crowd again. I don't know that I've been to the UK since I went to Manchester, I think, in 2013. I did go for Bisping and Anderson Silva in 2016, just as a fan, but I haven't called a fight in the UK in almost 10 years. So if Leon breaks through, maybe that'll actually get me over there. We'll see.
Yeah, well, Leon's insisting that, his first defense, if it isn't a third fight, and it probably would be a third fight, let's be honest, but if it wasn't, he's like, bring me Masvidal and bring him to my hometown. And I'm like, okay, because that would fill a stadium, and I think that's where we are with UK MMA now. We need a champion to go at the top of these big shows because we've got the undercard sorted. You've got people like Paddy the Baddy and Molly McCann who are just generating so much interest, not even just with MMA fans, but they've truly crossed over now.
Sure.
So the mainstream sports fan and the magazine shows and TV shows are bought in on both of their personas. And then you've got obviously Aspinall and Till and Jack Shaw, and there's so many, Paul Craig. All we need is just one of those belts. Just give us one of those belts.
Yeah. And the Aspinall injury obviously is a hit, right? Because if nothing else, it backs up his timeline about a year or so, when a lot of people envision him becoming that next guy to break through. But as I said, I'm really excited to see what Leon can do. I'm not going to sit here on the air and say he's a live underdog per se, because that's probably too predictive in nature for a play-by-play guy, but I'm excited to see what he can do with it. I really am.
In terms of, you mentioned Anderson Silva, and Nick brought up a point earlier that Chris Weidman became an Anderson Silva.
I hate to cut you off. Leo Santos is here. I love you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, John.
All the best. All right. So we'll see if he can come back. He's got to get on the mic and announce Leonardo Santos.
They've already brought the towel in.
They brought the curtain in on the scale for Leonardo Santos. So one last piece of drama here. We did have a fight cancellation earlier today. Miranda Maverick, Shanna Young, that fight's been canceled. They didn't even make it to the scales or anything like that. Here's Leonardo Santos, 42 years old, still going.
Incredible. But I completely sympathise with him. Brendan, being in my 40s myself, I know the weight coming off is completely different from when you're in your 20s.
I turned 40 last week. I'm trying to drop a few. You're telling me it's a tougher road.
It gets worse, my friend. It gets worse. He's got to do 156 here. Yes.
Hey, there
Well
it is,
done.
156. We got ourselves a 12-fight card. Everybody made weight.
Incidentally, the two Northern guys who struggled, Leonardo Santos and Jose Aldo, is part of that. They're traveling from Brazil, maybe. I don't know. You know, these are the questions you need to ask if it's the same two guys from the same camp. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
one's 35, one's 42, so that might play a part as well. But interesting that it was two guys from the same team.
All right, thank you all for coming out. That does it for the official.
So that's going to cap off the official weigh-ins in terms of fighters on the scale. Again, the good news is that everybody made weight despite the one fight cancellation. Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards taking away all drama, first two to the scale this morning, as you would expect from each of these guys. It's never been an issue for them to make 170, a championship weight for each of them on the nose.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Kamaru's always first on the scales, and Leon hasn't waited 6 hours, 12 hours, 2 days for this. He's waited 7 years for this moment. He truly believes he's a better fighter than Kamaru Usman. He's waited an awful long time to prove it. He's had the best preparation possible, and I think he's here to make a bit of a statement. I agree with John. You know, Kamaru's looks so good.
Yeah,
it's tough to tip Leon, but what Leon will bring, Leon's the best other 170 guy on the planet right now. He's the number one contender for a reason. I think he brings a completely different puzzle to Kamaru Usman. And I'm really looking forward to the fight. You know, I'm really looking forward to see what he brings. That first round, Brent's going to be so important.
A lot of championship rematches this summer, right? You had Amanda Nunes, you know, trying to get that one back on Juliana Pena. You had Kai Kara France, Brandon Moreno. That was a rematch. Volkanovski and Holloway for the trilogy, that sort of thing. What do you make of kind of all of these fighters regrouping? This is a bit of a different one, 7 years removed from the first time around, but nonetheless, it's a two. It's an Usman Edwards 2.
Well, let's be honest. I mentioned it then. If Edwards is successful, we're probably getting 3.
Absolutely.
You know, because
not to mention that it's all in how much you've done as a champion. Do you deserve an immediate rematch? Kamaru Usman deserves an immediate rematch, no matter who would come and dethrone him if that were to happen.
100%.
But Leon Edwards sets up perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, we're looking at Glover Teixeira getting an immediate rematch, not necessarily because of the body of work and the amount of wins, but because how good the fight was with Yuri Prochazka. That's a different scenario. But I think Leon, if he's victorious, and Leon even admits this himself, he said this is a Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva situation.
Sure.
I beat him.
Yeah, I got to go and beat him twice.
I've got to beat him twice. Because his journey, his career path, his run of victories as champion means that he deserves another opportunity, because guess what? He's the next best guy in line anyway. So Leon accepts that. And it just shows you really that we're living through an age at the moment of champions in the UFC who are Hall of Fame level champions.
Absolutely.
Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko, you know, Charles Oliveira is just doing astounding things. You know, Henry Cejudo when he comes back, John Jones hopefully when he comes back. These are people that will be remembered through the annals of history in 50 years' time when we're long gone, Brendan. People will be talking about these fighters as the all-time greats who built the bedrock of the sport. So that's why I think we're getting a lot of rematches, because these people are just so good. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it kind of dovetails with the evolution of MMA. Frankie Edgar, lightweight champion, now he's got to compete at 135. Jose Aldo, kind of same thing, has to go down. Part of the evolution of the sport too is that everybody who is coming up now is going to be better than pretty much everybody before them. It's just, it's reached a certain level. The sport has been established for not yet 30 years, where who we're seeing, it's going to be this for a while, who we're seeing is going to be the best when they're at the top of the heap for a while, you would think.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, George St. Pierre, there's some outliers. Khabib's gone right now. Obviously, it's gonna take a tall bar to overcome them. But you know, the greatest featherweight of all time was Jose Aldo. Then it was Max Holloway. You got to kind of say it's Alexander Volkanovski now. It's just the next one in line when they pass those challenges.
Well, don't forget, right now, while we're standing here, the IMAF World Junior Championships are taking place in another part of the world. There's over 600 athletes under the age of 16 who are competing for gold medals at the World MMA Championships. So you better believe by the time they get here, they're going to be completely different level of game. So yeah, that's the most exciting thing about the sport. You know, I think because we're seeing guys like John Jones, Valentina breaking boundaries, Kamaru doing amazing things. Mate, you wait until another decade or two and see what they're doing inside this octagon.
It'll be exciting to see how that unfolds. It'll be exciting to see how tomorrow night unfolds, into the wee hours of the morning, as it were. But we know all of you will be up and watching on BT Sport 1 as Leon Edwards tries to bring one home to the homeland. Final thoughts on Usman Edwards, if you would, Nick. Another look at the main card there. Again, 1 a.m. for the prelims. Main card, 3 a.m. BT Sport 1.
Yeah.
And what a setting it provides for Leon Edwards to try to have his moment.
Of course. It's a big weekend for fight sports in the UK. Obviously, Anthony Joshua rematches Alexander Usyk over in Saudi Arabia early in the evening. There'll be a lot of fight fans pushing on through to stay right up to see Leon do his thing.
How do you guys handle that?
I
always forget
it's
that.
more strong conversation,
right.
You know, big bowl of chips kind of keeps us
go.
going as
Good,
well, you know.
good.
So, but yeah, whatever it takes.
But
to
I
push
interrupt
on
your
through,
final
so.
thoughts on the matchup.
Yeah, listen, we know we're up against it. We know Leon's taking on the guy, not just the welterweight champion of the world, but the pound for pound best fighter on the planet. But this is MMA. Anything can happen. He's fully prepared. He's absolutely up for it. Kamaru's saying all the right things, but has he took his eye off the ball? Is he looking for the next stage of his career? You know, he's acting now, he's in movies, everything else. If he's taken his eye off the ball slightly, if he's anything but the very best version of Kamaru Usman, we are getting the very best version of Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards can beat him. I truly believe that.
We will see how it shakes down. They have 5 rounds with which to work. Kamaru Usman, sizable betting favorite in the matchup, but of course anything can happen, as you know, inside the octagon. Nick, thanks for having me.
Thank you, boy.
I get the call on Thursday. Can you go talk on BT Sport?
It's been nice
for the
to work
weekend?
with a professional.
Been,
honestly, usually I've got Cattrall and Bisping, acting a goat, singing karaoke. There's someone professional.
Well, I do want to be pretty fun as well. So here's the thing. It's the morning. We're going to have a lot of fun the rest of the evening here in Salt Lake. Join us after the fights tomorrow night. We will recap it, BT Sport on YouTube, right, Max? YouTube, we're going to be recapping it from Vivint Arena here in Salt Lake City. We'll have you covered. There's plenty of content and great interviews that you've done, Nick, all throughout the week. So
great week.
No shortage of content to consume from now until fight time, and then we'll join you afterwards. But thanks for joining us here on the official weigh-in on BT Sport, and we will talk to you tomorrow night after the fights.
Leon, my son, you've come so far.
All right.
Growing up, danger lurked around every corner. A new start, a new home. But death can be hard. A fatherless boy with something to prove. Lost, not knowing where to turn. But light can be found in the darkest of places. Out of the streets and into the cage. A new focus, a new beginning. With every win you grow stronger. This is your time. This is your stage. Fighting for your family. For your island of birth. For the island you've made home. Fighting to be the best in the world.